I'm 71 years old, and for most of my life, I walked around with a feeling I couldn't name. It wasn't sadness exactly. It was more like a hollow space inside me that never quite filled, no matter what I did. I didn't talk about it when I was younger. I didn't even admit it to myself. I just assumed that was how life felt for everyone, and that you learned to live with it. These days, my mornings are quiet. I wake up early, not because I'm disciplined, but because sleep doesn't hold me the way it used to. I sit at the edge of the bed for a minute, letting my joints catch up with the rest of me. The house is still, too still sometimes. That emptiness is still here, but now I finally understand where it came from. That's what I want to talk about. Not because it fixes anything. Just because I don't think I have much time left to lie to myself. When you're young, you think emptiness comes from not having enough. Not enough money. Not enough success. Not enough recognition. So you chase things, you build, you prove, you endure. I did all of that. I worked steady jobs. I showed up when I was supposed to. I paid bills on time. I didn't abandon anyone. From the outside, my life looked fine, even respectable. And that was the problem. It looked finished before I ever asked myself if it felt true. In my 20s, I was busy trying to be taken seriously. I thought seriousness was the same thing as adulthood. I thought if I kept my head down and did what was expected, the feeling would come later. Later became my favorite word. I'd tell myself I'd rest later. I'd be present later. I'd figure out what I actually wanted later. I married young. Not because I was deeply sure, but because it seemed like the next right step. She was kind, responsible, practical. We made sense on paper. We didn't fight much. That's something people mistake for happiness. Mostly, we just didn't ask each other hard questions. I went to work every day. Same route, same lunch, same small talk with coworkers. I told myself I was providing. And I was, that part was true. But providing can become a hiding place if you let it. I missed things without meaning to. A school play I forgot to request time off for. A birthday dinner I arrived late to, still wearing my work face. Conversations my wife tried to start when I was too tired to listen properly. None of it felt dramatic at the time. That's what makes it dangerous. Emptiness doesn't arrive with an announcement. It grows quietly, fed by delay. I kept waiting for a moment when life would slow down enough for me to feel it. Like fulfillment was something scheduled for later years, after the hard part was done. But the hard part never ended. It just changed shape. In my 40s, I was tired in a way sleep didn't fix. I'd come home and sit in my chair, staring at nothing, telling myself I'd earn the rest. My kids would talk to me and I'd hear them, but I wasn't really there. I thought being present meant being in the same room. I didn't understand how much of myself I was withholding. I wasn't cruel. I wasn't absent in the obvious ways. I was just elsewhere. Always thinking about what needed to be done next. Always measuring my worth by usefulness. That hollow feeling stayed with me through promotions, through anniversaries, through milestones people congratulated me for. I'd smile, shake hands, say thank you. Then I'd go home and feel the same quiet ache. I told myself I was ungrateful for wanting more. So I stopped wanting, or at least I tried to. When my father died, I remember feeling strangely blank. Not devastated, not at peace. Just muted. People said that grief hits everyone differently. I nodded and accepted that explanation. But deep down, I knew something was off. It wasn't that I didn't love him. It was that I had spent a lifetime keeping emotions at a manageable distance, including my own. That's the cost no one warns you about. If you practice not feeling fully, eventually it becomes automatic. In my late 50s, my marriage began to thin out. Not explode, not collapse. Just slowly lose weight until there wasn't much left to hold onto. We shared a house, routines, history. But we stopped sharing ourselves. When she finally said she felt lonely sitting next to me, I didn't argue. I couldn't, because I knew she was right. We separated quietly. No shouting, no scenes. Just paperwork and boxes, and a silence that felt heavier than anger would have. That was when the emptiness started speaking louder. At first, I tried to fill it the same way I always had. Staying busy. Fixing things around the house. Finding small distractions. But distraction doesn't work forever. The turning point came later than it should have. It usually does. I got sick, not terminal, but serious enough to slow me down. Serious enough to put me in a hospital bed with nothing to do but think. Lying there, staring at a ceiling I didn't recognize, I realized how little of my life I could actually feel. I remembered events, dates, achievements, but very few moments where I had been fully alive inside myself. That's when it became clear. I hadn't felt empty because I failed. I felt empty because I delayed living. I kept postponing presence, assuming it would be easier later. But later is a fragile promise. Some things don't wait. I can't go back and sit on the floor with my kids when they were small. I can't return to conversations I rushed through because I thought I had time. I can't show my younger self how much was being lost in the waiting. That's the part that hurts now. Not the big mistakes. The quiet ones. The evenings I chose numbness over connection. The times I swallowed words because it felt safer to be agreeable. The relationships I treated like they would always be there. Time doesn't punish you loudly. It just keeps moving. At this age, people talk to you differently. They're gentle, careful, as if you're already halfway gone. You notice who remembers you, who checks in, who doesn't. You realize how little noise a life can make once the routines stop. I'm not bitter about it, just aware. If you're listening to this, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I don't trust advice much anymore. All I can offer is this truth, earned slowly and too late. Emptiness isn't always a sign that something is missing. Sometimes it's a sign that you've been absent from your own life. You don't notice it while you're busy being responsible, while you're being dependable, while you're being who everyone expects. But one day, the distractions thin out, and you're left with yourself. I still have moments of peace now. Small ones, sitting by the window in the afternoon light, hearing laughter from somewhere else. They don't erase the past. They just sit beside it. If this meant something to you, that's enough. You don't owe me anything. I'm 71 years old. I finally understand why I always felt empty. And understanding doesn't fix it. But it does make the remaining time feel honest. That's all I wanted. In the end, subscribe and like, share.